Welcome to the Progtalks by the Progspace. Welcome to the Progtalks, an interview series by the Progspace where we will be talking to musicians in all corners of the progressive music scene.
Welcome back to another episode of the Progtalks. I'm your host Dario, and this is the first episode of 2022. Thank you for tuning in again. For all listeners who have heard previous episodes last year, welcome to all new listeners. And if you like what we're doing, we always appreciate your support with likes, subscribes, and also that cup of coffee. The famous one. You can find all the links in the description as always. But now, without further ado, I want to introduce you our first guest for the year. It's Tasos from Greece, and with his band Within Progress, he released their debut album, Inner, last October. Hi, Tasos. How are you doing today?
Hi, Dario. Good evening. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
As I said, Within Progress is the name of your band, and Inner is the debut full-length album.
That's right, yes.
Before that, your first release was the Oceans of Time EP in 2018, right?
Yes, that's right.
And that one was, as you also stated in your official press biography, and I think anyone who knows prog music can hear. Back then there was on Oceans of Time, you still had more traditional progressive metal, melodic progressive metal approach to music.
Yes.
And
yes, we did.
Now with your full-length album, there's a lot of more modern influences on that as well, which makes it fresh and unique and exciting, which I found really cool. So, what prompted that style, the change of styles, or that veering in a little bit more modern and experimental, or also more poppy direction? Not really pop, but the melodies and stuff. In the songwriting.
I think we took songwriting much more seriously this time, as we in comparison to 4 years ago, when we were just putting our favorite types of riffs together and ideas, and although we tried to make them coalesce, it was more of oh dude, let's put a 13/8 riff here, and then we did, and then let's put a 7/8 riff there, and we did, and it was kind of like this collection of riffs and ideas that just work well together. It's not an entire song. I mean, many people have told me that the old songs feel like there's maybe 3 or 4 songs in them. But now for Inner, each song is like one central idea and one theme. And I think us getting more mature with music and songwriting and that type of thing, those skills, songwriting skills, actually got better. And I think that's how Inner sounds in comparison to our EP.
Tying in with that, of course, with a new band entering the scene, it's always very interesting to ask about the main influences of you guys. But I think in with a band like Within Progress, it's much more interesting to ask about the influences that come from outside of the prog world, so to speak.
Yes.
So what are some of your favorite artists or bands that that might influence the songwriting of Within Progress, and especially in regards to Inner?
I'll start with my own influences, and the most obvious one is Muse. You can say that Muse is prog, but they're much more of a mainstream band, so I'm just gonna call them first and say that how they write songs and how they use sounds and synthesizers and all that kind of electronic and classical influences kind of influences me on my own way. So they're a very, very big influence on how we sound. Other than that, I'd say maybe bands like Nothing More and maybe bands like the Deftones, who kind of have a approach of their own. If you listen to their albums, it's them right away. And I think that they pay attention more to the vocals rather than, maybe an interesting guitar solo or an interesting lead that takes all the attention. They're more of a unit,
I can see that with what I know from or about the Deftones. Definitely, I have to admit I'm not familiar with Nothing More.
Yeah, they're a very interesting example because they're a prog band in their I'd say in their core, but they hide it very well. I mean, their sound is essentially pop, or metal or pop and rock. It's very mainstream sounding, but if you try to play a song of theirs, it's very complicated. And many prog fans, I think, will appreciate them. They're very, very well hidden, but they have like millions of views. Many people don't know them yet.
So where are they from?
They're I think they're American.
Okay, well, I'll have to check them out.
Yes.
But also now that you mentioned Muse, I realized that because your role in the band as an instrumentalist, you play the keyboards and the guitar. So like and
it's inevitable.
And I mean Matt Bellamy does the same, right? He also does both.
Yeah. He's my guitar hero, essentially. He's the reason I started playing guitar. So it's inevitable not to sound like him in some ways.
So what was first when you started learning instruments or making music? Probably, I would guess at a young age, guitar or keyboards or piano.
I started playing piano, when I was very, very young, like 3 or 4 maybe.
Oh, wow.
And that's still my primary instrument and the one I was classically trained at. And then I picked up the guitar at around 16 or 17 when I got into Muse heavily. And I just started learning all their songs. And that's how I learned guitar on my own, basically.
Cool. So when it comes to songwriting, when did you start writing for Inner, and how is the songwriting process going within Progress?
For Inner, we started having our own ideas here and there since maybe 2018 when we were recording the EP and we had finished. But more seriously, we got together at 2020, like at the beginning of the year, and said, okay, let's decide which songs are going to be on this album. And then we got heavily into it and more seriously. And as soon as we said, okay, that song is good, the other song is good, we just ended up with 12 very good songs that we decided are going to be on this album, and they sounded more or less as one central theme, So it's been in the making around a year and a half, I'd say.
Like after you really got into it, and was it more like a development? Do the songs more develop in a rehearsal room situation for you guys, or do you like everyone is working at home on their parts?
Mostly,
and then you do the arrangements before you go into the studio or whatever.
For Inner, and I think maybe for the next one too, because we're writing the next one now. We're much more comfortable with discussing ideas at home. Like we get together and we put them all in a laptop and software, and with kind of like a bit fake sounds, but we understand what it's going to go, where it's going to go.
Like MIDI mockups.
Yeah, exactly. But we never get to the rehearsal room, at least if maybe 70 or 80% of the song is done. We just kind of get to the rehearsal room for the final parts to see how they actually sound with instruments.
Yeah, so you're not a jam band.
No, not at all. we try to jam some ideas, and it comes out like a stoner, like a a different vibe, a completely different genre of music when we jam new stuff.
Yeah, isn't the like I mean, maybe later we can talk a little bit about the Greek prog scene, but isn't it like there's like a psychedelic rock band, Villages of Ioannina City, aren't they also from your part of Greece, right?
Yes. Yeah. They're
and
they're very well known and very successful here.
Yeah, and that is more the kind of music that's also a little bit prog adjacent, or prog listeners might also enjoy this, but this kind of music is much more jammable.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think you can't make progressive music at a rehearsal room while jamming. You know, there's got to be some sort of organizer, behind everything.
Yeah,
the music kind of fits together, and then maybe if you want to put the vocals and try to fit them in, you got to know where the music is going to go beforehand. You can't jam it too easily,
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the latest Liquid Tension Experiment album, LTE3, which came out last year, and the two discs are so different. Like the first disc with all those heavily composed stuff, and then the second with like just long noodly jams, which is, I have to admit, I didn't really care for it too much. I didn't
actually listen to it myself. I just listened to the singles and kind of got their vibe from the singles.
Yeah,
I don't know if the rest of the album is the same, but I didn't actually go through with it.
Actually, on the interesting part is, I think every band member has 2 songs on the main disc, on the first disc, and some of them are also kind of jams, but like they act as sort of interlude between the composed songs. I have the feeling, there's like a cool jam of Mike Portnoy with Tone 11, and then there's like a very, very beautiful Jordan Rudess, John Petrucci ballad, so to speak, which is, to my knowledge, also like a one take, just like, of course, they discussed beforehand what the chords and chord changes are going to be, but then it's just like and I guess the main motive or musical theme was there before they hit the record button. But as far as I know, this was a one take, more or less improvised, and it's beautiful and it works. But they like these improvised interlude or improvised songs on the first main disc are have more the feeling of interludes between the long suites, like, of composed music.
It sounds like a live album to me more, your description right now, like a live recording kind of thing.
I only know this about that one like this one ballad. I think it's the penultimate track, and after that is the long epic. So but I'm pretty sure the main songs are not live in studio, but I'll have to check.
They do it the same way. I'm sure they do it the same way. They can't possibly jam that. No way.
Let's go back to Within Progress. You guys released 3 singles and videos. I think the first single, "Hidden Wound," is probably one of my favorite songs on the album, which is like it's got this massive groove, like the intro groove, which is really heavy and just groovy as hell. And then when you go into the verse, the groove remains, but the vibe totally changes, right?
Yeah, it goes kind of more electronic, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's like a very cool effect. Even though, the groove stays the same.
The groove stays there. Yeah, it's the same. It's just more stripped down. It's more a bass and drum groove, and the vocals are just kind of there, floating
Yeah, and layered. So yeah, and then the second single, Destructional, had this very different animated video, and
right.
maybe that brings us to another part of the album. You already mentioned that you had the feeling that these 12 songs are they feel connected through some bigger themes. So maybe we can talk a little bit about the themes on the album, not the musical themes, but
sure.
what topics you were writing about.
Well, there are many themes in the album. It's not necessarily a concept album that there's like a story, a beginning, middle, and an end, but there's a central kind of theme to all the songs that circles around our humanity, our psychology, our behavior, human relationships. If it was like maybe relationships with your friends, your parents, love interests, or relationships with yourself, we're very conscious about talking about self-love and discussing various topics that you don't usually discuss with everyday friends, that you just kind of keep to yourself. That's why we chose that title, Inner, for the album, because we didn't know anything else but yourself, me, tying this whole album together. And there are songs in there about overthinking, about trauma, depression, and it kind of felt natural to depict a state of me and myself and how you can tackle your everyday life if you are in good terms with yourself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's
absolutely.
this kind of self, let's say, I don't want to say self-healing, but, this self-awareness and a journey. So you can get honest with yourself. And then I think when you can be able to do that, you can tackle bigger problems in your life. And I think that's the central theme of Inner.
Yeah, very, very, very interesting and deep, actually. And Destructional. Also, of course, the second single has this massive hook in the chorus, very memorable, and it's bound to keep stuck in your in your mind for days.
We work on the choruses like double the amount of time that we work on the other parts of the song. The chorus has to be good.
And together with that with the lyrics and also the video, it's quite obvious that it's about climate change. So I guess it's also you could also see that it's about the relationship of mankind with Earth,
with nature.
Yes.
And maybe that doesn't reflect much on the inner topic, but I think it does, because it all starts with one person and one consciousness, and how you treat the environment is a reflection of how everyone treats it. Like it's not much of a recurring theme. It's just there on Destructional, and we talk about war on the first song, Sky We Want, Sky We Love. But we think all those problems arise from ourselves, from one person. So that's the main theme.
And what I noticed also when listening to Oceans of Time and then to Inner, the beginning of both releases, of course, with Oceans of Time, there's like a whole very, very mellow intro song, so to speak, that is like a very, very calm, maybe post-rocky build-up, and then this the first real song, so to speak. With Sky We Want, Sky We Love, the opening track for Inner, you also have the audacity to start the album with like very, very calm and not with a banger.
Yes. Actually, the original song started very abruptly and very loudly. And then when we showed it to the producer, he said, "Dude, the chorus is very, very good. Why don't you put the chorus before everything?" And we thought maybe that's a very creative idea. We didn't know the song would be first in the album, but we did that. We did it his way, and then we thought let's put it in the album first and see what happens. I think it works.
Yeah, I think it's always a brave choice to go with with something like that.
Not many people. Sorry for interrupting. I don't think so many people listen to albums from beginning to the end these days. So the first song people are going to hear is Hidden Wound, right? Like the first singles, and they kind of get they start very quickly.
Yeah, but if
that's a very rewarding experience for the actual listener of the entire album to go into it as a journey, as I said before. So that's why we decided the intro should be calm and
but if there's a fan base, a niche fan base that listens to whole albums, then it's got to be the prog one, right?
Yeah. We wanted to reward them for listening to the whole album from the beginning to the end.
If you are enjoying this interview, please head over to theprogspace.com for more reviews, articles, pictures and interviews all about progressive music. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. theprogspace.com.
It actually reminded me doing something like this reminded me of Leprous and Bonneville on Melina. That was made even more apparent, I think, because on the Melina tours they always opened also the live show with Bonneville, and you don't know what's happening, and then suddenly.
Have they started? Is this a jam? Are they sound checking? I actually saw them live for that tour, and I remember feeling like, is this show starting now, or can we cheer? Or Leprous on stage? You know?
Yeah. Now I remember that Raphael Wanworth Brown, the cellist, did an introductory cello jam that segued and led seamlessly into the intro of Bonneville, which was amazing. I'd
care a lot more if they opened with From the Flame, though. You know, that much more of a banger song. You know, it's kind of like we're here. You know.
Yeah, and it's very. I think it's very interesting to put together a live set list. Of course, especially as your back discography grows, it's gonna get more challenging. And but yeah, speaking of Leprous, it's always like they have so many different songs and differently starting songs. Also, like a fun and weird opener would be the Start Stop Foe. Just like.
Yes. I've seen that song live, but I don't think it was in the beginning. It would be awesome if it was. Yeah,
I mean, it's been a while since Cole was released already. I think it was like 9 years already.
Still my favorite album.
It's a banger for sure.
It's perfect. It's perfect for me.
Now we deviated again a little bit, but it's cool. We're talking about live music, and of course I would be just guessing. Of course, I can't keep up with all the countries in the world that how the situation is. But I would surmise, I would guess that in Greece also the last 2 years there was not that much possibility of playing live.
Unfortunately, no, there hasn't been, and there's been endless shows canceled, and some venues have closed, some venues have reopened now, but there's talk of them closing again, and we're just kind of here watching it all from above and saying, okay, what can we do? So we're not really sure what to do, even for the summer of 22, or even after the summer of 22.
Yeah.
We're not sure where to book, what's going to happen. It's crazy. I mean, we released the album and we want to play it live. Like, we're dying for it, and we can't do that yet.
Yeah. Here in Germany, the last 2 years, it was always that, the summers were good, and there was the possibility of some concerts with distancing and masks, and now towards
better than nothing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, the big festivals were not able to go forward, like the big summer metal festivals, But in like both in 2020 and 21, here in Germany was possible more towards the end of summer, so August, September, October. There were shows, like some with some restrictions still, but we were able to do some shows, and it was like every show was so special. And
it was the same here, more or less. Yeah, same here, with restrictions.
Yeah, but
people
then
got to enjoy some shows.
Yeah, but then again, like there were so many shows already, like so many tours booked for December and January now, and they all got canceled. Going back to Leprous, it was amazing that they made it work somehow, that they were able to do at least some of those European gigs.
I'd say it's admirable that they actually got to play with live sessions and live streaming. And that was a big achievement. I think it changed the game. We're actually thinking of how we can do it ourselves. So many bands are thinking about doing it.
Yeah.
Because big artists like Lepers did it themselves, and they showed the way. They weren't inactive at all. They were like show after show after show.
They probably, I would guess that they might even have doubled their their I don't know, Spotify monthly listeners in that 2 years.
Probably, yeah.
But of course it's very much up to the band and to the individuals in the band, how they approach the thing. A band that will always be tied in their career with Leprous for me is Haken, because I saw both of them with their respective debut at Prog Power Europe 2010, and Haken didn't, apart from releasing Virus, they did nothing, and Leprous easily overtook them in popularity during that time.
Exactly.
But it's a hard time for all musicians, and it's a weird time. I don't know, I think we're all struggling in one way or another. Let's go on to a more exciting topic, and that would be the Greek prog scene.
Of course, yes.
Because in the last years there were so many bands that came out of Greece. So sometimes I was thinking, wow, another cool Greek band. What's in the water in Greece lately?
Yeah.
And actually, now I remember that I think the first time I heard about you guys was when I think it was John Voyager from Need sharing the Oceans of Time single.
Yeah, I remember that. He actually has done an immense support for this band when we began, and we are really, really grateful to him and the members, because they're genuine fans, and it's so nice to see a band older than us and much more experienced than us, sharing the music and enjoying it. And they even saw us live once, and it's such a good feeling, getting some sort of feeling reassured from the older generation that you're doing something right.
Yeah, I really hope you guys will be able to play together a show soon.
We hope so. We hope so too. Yeah.
Maybe you can do an exchange show. One in Athens, one in Thessaloniki.
That's for sure. Yeah. But we still want to go on a tour in Europe, and play in Germany and play in France, and do kind of like we're dying to play live. So much in Greece as much as in Europe. But doing that with a legendary band like Need would be a dream.
Yeah. There's one other band from Thessaloniki, I think that is very, very dear to my heart, because it's been a while since I've heard from them. It's Until Rain.
Oh yeah, I've seen them live too. Yeah, they haven't released. They released an album 2018, I think.
I think it was 2019. I'm not sure. The season 5 season.
Yeah.
And I think they that album especially would have deserved like a lot more attention.
Yeah.
In the scene.
Yeah, me too.
And
they have some really nice songs. And maybe the band Playgrounded. Have you heard of them?
The new album.
Another great band. Yes.
The new album is coming out in March, I think, and I had the pleasure of hearing it already, and it's massive. I can't wait for the world to hear it. It's and of course I will be inviting them to talk here with me on the Progtalks. That's going to be very, very exciting. It's been so long since I've seen any of my Greek friends from Need or from Until Rain or Poem, Mother of Millions, exactly. Or those guys. Art of Simplicity.
I think I've seen them around. Yes, I don't think I've heard their song, but I've seen them around.
Yeah, I'm just hoping this we can travel and play live soon and meet up with other like-minded prog fans and enjoy music together. I think it will do our souls good.
yeah, exactly. We're lucky enough to have the internet and communicate it, and finding new artists. And we're lucky enough, so let's be just grateful for that, and I think we can get back on track this year. I'm hopeful that we'll get back on track this year.
That's I can subscribe to that, absolutely.
Yeah.
We already talked a little bit about another 2021 release with Liquid Tension Experiment and unexpectedly. But since this is the first episode of 2022 and there's still a lot of, album of the year lists going around, I wanted to ask you, there's been any albums that stood out for you, particularly that were released last year?
One album does pop into my head immediately, and that's Vola's Witness. They're also another huge influence for us, and that last album is just immense. It's song after song. I don't get tired of it, and they have this huge talent of playing so hard-hitting riffs and gent riffs. It sounds like Meshuggah, and then they just kind of go into the chorus, which is all happy and melodic, and he has this soothing, calm voice, and it's just an entirely new thing on its own, and I'm just loving everything they're doing.
I think I will have to revisit Witness now, since we are also preparing the Progspace Awards 2021. And I have to admit, there was like 4 or even 5 singles leading up to Witness, and it was like the entire first half of the album. And I loved every song, and I had, by the time the album came out, I had listened to every song like millions of times already, and
they already felt familiar.
And I don't know, the second half, which was new by the time the album was released finally, I was somehow expecting something more that would flash me more, that would surprise me more, but it was like kind of
I know what you mean.
The same formula. So all in all, after a while, I didn't really get tired of it, but I thought, then I moved on to a lot of other releases that came out after Witness, which was still in the first half of the year. So there were a lot of albums coming out after that, which I turned my attention to then. But it's a bit harsh to say I was disappointed, but somehow the second half didn't connect to me as heavily as did all those individual singles beforehand. And
so I know what you mean. There's
I don't know,
more mellow and ballads and that kind of thing, right?
I'm not sure if it's the songs itself or if it was the way they were released and the way I consumed them.
Maybe
as an album, as a whole album, I would still prefer applause of a different crowd, of a distant crowd.
Me too. Yes, me too. That album is just perfect. I mean, Witness is I think a bit lower than that in my list, but still a very, very good album for 2021. Also, Sleep Token, if you've heard of their release, they that blew my mind. It wasn't as good as the first one, in my opinion, but what they do is just so game changing for me.
It's definitely something unique in the modern prog world, and about This Place Will Become Your Tomb. I have to say, it's kind of hit and miss album for me. There's some songs I I really connect with, and I think like Alkaline. I think I really love that. That was one of the singles I really, really loved that. But some of them didn't really connect with me. But still, amazing band, sure.
Yeah.
And I can also see, with the implementation of more electronic parts and more electronic stuff into prog metal. I can definitely also see how their influence somehow make their way into the Within Progress sound.
Yeah, definitely.
How did
for us? They play a huge role on us because when they use like those kind of vocal layers and those effects, and I'm thinking, oh, what is that? Let's do that. What they did. Let's try to make something similar, and we add piano and we add like effects and electronic sounds, and it's just so exciting to try and take apart a Sleep Token song and see what makes it unique, and then try to put that together in your own compositions. That's immensely fun for me, at least.
Yeah. What did you think of Aphelion from Lepros?
Oh yeah. Actually, I'm not going to say I was disappointed like you, but I just expected something more.
Okay.
But I think it worked better as a live album because I watched the stream when they played the album, and I enjoyed it much more than when I was just listening to it through headphones at home. But watching them play it was much more enjoyable. Okay, and I think that's the feeling they were going for, a bit more of a live kind of setting. And listening to all those sounds, rich synth sounds and strings and stuff come out of a live piano, or watching them play it was much more enjoyable for me.
Interesting. It's also an album I need to revisit to see where it will end up in the list compared to some other albums. And I also it came out in August, and so there were still a couple of months to go with a lot of more music being released. And it's funny because I mostly I listened to a lot of albums like the 2 weeks leading up to the release with the promo I have, and maybe writing a review or something. So when it's an album I really love, I obsess heavily with it the 2 weeks leading up to the release, and once it's released I'm kind of done with it. I'm through with it, and I move on to the next one. But with Ophelion, it also had something to do that at least half of the songs kind of hit home too hard, so emotionally, so it's kind of hard to listen to them because I think they're so relatable for me personally, at least. And of course I have heard of many people saying that but yeah, that doesn't diminish the outstanding quality.
No, of course not. No. I just expected, a much more heavy album. I don't know why, but
I didn't. I absolutely didn't. I was surprised that it was that heavy. In parts, in other parts, not so
some parts, especially the last song. I think is many people's favorites. Favorite, like my own.
I think it's cool and it's fun, but I'm like on hold or that. On hold might be my favorite.
They have very, very nice melodies and catchy hooks. I'm not going to deny that. If I listen to the album now, I'll be singing it for the next week, no doubt.
All right. Tasos, it's great to talk to you about prog music and all. And of course, it was great to hear about Within Progress's debut album, Inner, which was released, self-released by you guys, right? In October last year? Right, yeah. October 21, 2021.
21st.
Yes. Yeah. And so, of course, you guys out there can like and subscribe everywhere to the Within Progress channels, and also get a copy of Inner if you like what you're hearing. Support the band, of course. All the description you will find everywhere in the links you'll find everywhere in the description. What did I just say? Anyway, check out Within Progress Inner, very cool debut album, and I'm really curious and looking forward to where you guys will be heading with your next effort. All the best to you, and I hope we'll be able to see each other and to meet in real life on the road.
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully.
So thank you for joining us today, Tasos.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
You guys out there, thank you so much for listening. Your support and your loyalty means the world to us. Once again, if you want to support us, like and subscribe and comment everywhere. And also don't forget that highly appreciated cup of coffee for us if you want to support us and if you like what we're doing. That's it for today. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Progtalks. Until then, take care and keep spreading that prog love.
The Progtalks, produced by the Progspace. Main host, Rune Belsvik-Reinos. Produced by Rune Belsvik-Reinos, Vanessa and Matthias Kirsch. All graphics and animations by Vanessa Kirsch. Intro theme by Giuseppe Negri. Outro theme by Zach Munowitz. This was the Progtalks by the Progspace. See you in a week.